Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Hello APGD, a neighborhood podcast about the Audubon Park Garden District in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Michael Lovero, and my guest today is Tim Lovero, former chef at Luma, Prato, and Luke's, and chef owner of Coro, a brand new restaurant coming soon to Audubon Park. Be sure to follow Coro Restaurant and be on the lookout for their website. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you'd like to be a sponsor, please feel free to message me on Instagram at HelloAPGDPod. Thank you for listening. And with me today is Tim Lovero, former chef at Luma, Prato, and Luke's, and chef owner of Coro, a brand new restaurant in Audubon Park coming soon. Welcome, Tim.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited to talk to you, and I know I've been getting a lot of questions about who's going in the B3 space, the Bikes, Beans, and Bordeaux space. And I had Gene on the podcast, Gene Willard of Willard Appliance, your landlord, your building owner.
Great guy.
Wonderful guy, right?
Yeah, he's super sweet, man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we bought a dishwasher from him this year, and we just bought a Speed Queen washing machine. We're very excited about his appliances. And just how he curates some of the business spaces in Audubon Park, the fact that he really tries to get somebody who is a good fit. And when I interviewed him, it was actually the day that you signed the papers for the lease.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he didn't reveal too many details, but he's like, yeah, it's a chef who was in Maitland. And I'm like, I think I might know who that is.
I know that guy.
Yeah. So I didn't pry, but I'm like, yeah, I hope that's who that is. So you've got some history in Audubon Park as well.
I do, yeah.
And so originally we know you from the Monday night market, which actually used to be Wednesday nights, and you were selling pasta.
That was my first gig.
Yeah.
So I was working at Luma in 2010, and I was trying to start a food truck with Tony Adams, the Big Wheel Provisions food truck, and it was just, things take time to get started. Mm-hmm. And so I was just selling some pasta at the farmer's market just to stay afloat, pay bills, that sort of thing, but also just like meet people and just be at the market. It was really
a great foot in the door, right?
Yeah, for sure.
For that. Mm-hmm.
And I met a lot of people through that too. So, and it's pretty crazy. It's like full circle. Now I'm back in Audubon Park, where I've always wanted to be, by the way. It's like, this is my bread and this is where I want
your bread
be.
and butter, so to speak.
For sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, it is full circle, and you will be partially like a pasta restaurant too, right? That's like one of the things. I will be,
yeah.
That's cool.
It's not going to be like so Italian, like what I really used to do, like what my main thing was. Mm-hmm. But now I like dumplings and pierogies and gnocchis, and So it could go either Asian, it could go like Russian, it could go Italian, it could go
I love that multicultural. Yeah. And it's just, you're going to use local seasonal ingredients.
As much as possible. Really try to, be creative with what I can get. Really get in there with the local farms as much as possible, for sure.
That's awesome. And we have such good local farms. You were telling me that you're going to be going to Everoak soon.
Yes, on Monday. I'm going to do some processing of some chickens, which I've never done. So plucking and... doing the whole deal.
It's hard work, and gives you a whole new respect for the animal and the sacrifice, that whole process. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Chef Jess Tantalo of Red Light recently did that as well. I think that's cool that, the partnerships, and obviously Mikey is a chef as well.
Oh, yeah. I knew him back in the day when he worked at the Ravenous Pig, so
yeah. Yeah, and then Smiling Bison, and just such a huge talent all around. And they've been doing some farm dinners there as well, which is super killer.
I know, I'm trying to get on one of those. That sounds fun.
They sell out really quickly.
Yeah.
So go to Everoak Farms website and check that out. Sign up for the newsletter. Although this is bad because now we're competing against anybody who's listening and goes to that. But it's all good. They need the support. We all need the support. So
for sure.
That's how that goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was just passing the restaurant, or the future restaurant. There's lots of construction happening there today.
There is, yeah. There's always guys there every single day. So,
that's awesome.
We are moving forward pretty quick now.
Yeah, and it's nice because it's not a change of use, but there's quite a bit that goes into it. B3 was a restaurant that didn't necessarily need a hood, grease traps, those kinds of things. And so all of that stuff is going in now, right?
Yep. It's all basically in. It just needs to be hooked up and finished. So it's like after that, it's just finishing touches. So we are moving way faster than we were a few months ago.
That's
so
amazing.
I'm feeling good about it, yeah.
Yeah. And luckily, we're kind of at a timeline when we don't have the same level of supply chain issues with materials, construction materials and things. It's still a bit of a challenge, but not as much as it was the past couple of years, right?
Yeah.
So
that aspect was it wasn't nearly as bad as what it has been in the past, for sure.
Yeah. So this project kind of kicked off.
We were looking at a space in College Park in January, and it just didn't work out, thank God.
Yeah.
And I think my wife just happened to be driving by and saw a for rent sign right in the beginning of February, and we met with Gene, who was like the nicest guy in the world. He kind of loved us like right from the get-go, so it's like this seems like it's almost meant to be. So we thought about it, we prayed about it, and we just came to the decision that it was a really good fit for us. It's like where I've always wanted to be.
Yeah.
But it's like within the last 3 or 4 years of constantly looking for places, I kind of gave up on this area, to be honest with you, because it just didn't seem like it was ever going to happen.
There were 0 vacancies for the longest time.
Yeah. And if there ever is a vacancy, they're immediately picked up by someone knows. Like, you have to have some sort of in here.
Yeah.
And it was just like really great timing. So we signed in February and have been working on things since then, for sure.
Wow. Yeah. So just knowing lots of friends who have opened restaurants and the timelines of things and the expectation and what actually comes to be, it's sort of like you never want to guess when that opening date is going to be. So we won't even talk about those.
Yeah. I mean, you can think positively about it, but you're just going to kind of disappoint yourself. So it's best to like prepare for the absolute worst, make sure that you're okay to do that, and then go from there. And then if something happens, you're like, yes, we're doing it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
And you've talked to Gabby a little bit.
I have, yeah.
And she's a great resource because of all of her experience with project management and that sort of thing. So I'm glad that we made that contact as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So about 16 years now in the chef world.
15, 16 years,
yeah. In culinary school or right out of culinary school, you joined with the Luma team.
I did, right out of school.
Tell me about that. How was that transition?
So I was going to college actually in Virginia. I graduated with a business administration degree. And then I moved down here to be with my cousin. He was in a band, and I was like, I'll just go and follow them around. That'll be fun.
What band was that?
Baron Von Bear.
Oh, yeah, I remember that band.
Yeah, back in the day.
Nice.
So I did that for a little bit, and then I was like, I need to get into something. Like, I got to support myself. And I've always been into culinary, so I was like, I'll do culinary school. So I moved down here. I did like a few months where I did nothing. It was like pretty great. I just kind of went to the parks. And so I went to culinary school. I did the express program, which was like just cooking alone. So I was done within like 6 or 7 months. It was pretty fast. And then I asked them, I was like, what restaurant is the best restaurant that I can go to learn the most? And they were like, bar none, Luma Park. Like, he's, worked for Thomas Keller. He has all these people that he's worked under. And so I met Brandon, and I gave him my my resume. And I didn't have any cooking experience at that point. So it was like construction work when I was younger. It was the school that I went to. And he's like, okay. He like crumpled it up. And he's like, we're going to start over. So I just got in there. I worked a couple Saturdays like for free, basically. It's called staging. I got to know the team. I got to know the flow of service. I really liked it. And like within, I think, a couple weeks, they hired me. And I worked there for 3 years. And then I wanted to do the food truck thing. I thought I was ready to do my own thing. So I did that for a little bit, maybe only a year. That was really hard. I miss
that food truck.
I might not have been completely ready. I feel a little bit bad about the people that were working under me at that time. But everything I take as a growing process for the most part, and I learned that's not what I want to do. I'd rather do like a brick and mortar. So around the time,
Chef Tony had a very specific style too of managing and that sort of thing, and very talented and like, yeah, the food. I mean, we were just talking about you guys catered our wedding too, which was like
many moons.
wow, like what history. That's so very special. Like that particular time, there was a real magic to kind of what was happening in the food scene, and food trucks were kind of brand new to the area too.
Yeah, we were one of the, I think it was like the Korean taco box or something like that.
Right, yeah.
And then us, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, there wasn't the big food bazaars at that point. So
Right.
it's like we would just set up shop downtown, and I would do lunch, and then I would do dinner, and then I would do late night. And I think just doing all of that all the time, not having any days off, I just got kind of burnt out.
Yeah.
So around that time, thank God Brandon just happened. Brandon from Audubon Park was opening up Prato, and he's like, I want you to come on board as part of the management team. So then, I've been with them since then as well. So
I love Prato too. That's such a great place. I used to work at Ann Taylor, weirdly,
okay,
which occupied that space that Prato is in now.
really,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
I didn't know that was in Taylor.
you wouldn't recognize it now.
No, not at all.
But yeah, I worked in like the stock room, and I, got shipments in and prepared all this stuff. It was a weird job for me to have because obviously it's like formal business women's attire, and that's it.
Yeah.
So not.
How did you get into that?
My brother had a job there. I don't even know how he got the job, and then it was like one of my first jobs.
Okay.
So my discount that I got there, I never used.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know anybody that was into wearing those clothes either. But yeah, a little bit of backstory about that space.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can go back in my brain and walk through the restaurant when it was first being built out, and I actually had to sleep there on one of the booths because you have to make sure the fire is going in the ovens for 24 hours without it dying out or whatever.
Wow.
So I stayed there all night, me and a buddy of mine, and we just kind of drank some wine and made sure the fire never died, and curing the oven is what it's called. Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
A little sleepover.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets that experience.
In the dusty restaurant of still construction going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Chef Lexi was on the podcast as well, and she was talking about the old Swine and Son space, and they actually slept there on occasion when the hurricanes would knock out their power. And if they still had power there, they're like, yeah, this is our family restaurant. We're gonna go for it.
Smart. You got AC, you got food everywhere. There's no going without for sure.
Absolutely. Is it Prato or how do you pronounce it?
I would just call it Prato.
Prato. Okay, yeah. I've been saying it Prato.
Yeah, it means meadow.
Does it?
Italian, yeah.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, the owner's daughter's name was Meadow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then Luke's, his son's name was Luke.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
the
all
whole
connected.
Family.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you were part of the opening team of Luke's in Maitland.
I was, yeah. So I never thought I wanted to do that sort of thing. I was super into rustic Italian food. I thought that's what I wanted to do always. And I just had this opportunity to work during the day, and I really wanted to start a family. I started dating my wife towards the end of Prato, and I was, working crazy long hours, chef life, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Brandon once again came to me. He's like, listen, I know you want to start a family, and that's going to be your main concern. I'm thinking about opening up this American-style restaurant called Luke's. Well, we didn't even have a name at that point. But yeah, American-style restaurant, and I need somebody that's going to run it in the morning, but still is involved in all the creativity and that sort of thing. So it worked out really well because I got to spend the last 7 years, something like that, at Luke's, just running the morning shift, but still creating things on the menu. And I got to spend more time with my family. I got to eat with them every single night. It was just my work-life balance became really important in that time.
Yeah, as it does, right?
Yeah.
For a lot of people.
Very much so. And I see a lot of chefs that crash and burn because of that.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to find that. It's hard to find somebody who's willing to accommodate that life change and that schedule change. Actually, Chef Lexi was also talking about that with Swine and Sons, that the fact that it's really like a daytime thing, and the way that it's run now, it's like she can actually have time with the kids, and
Super
she's
important.
got that balance.
Yeah. So I know I'm like getting myself into this now.
Yeah.
And but I think it's a little different if you are owning it. You know, your kids and your family, they can come in whenever they want.
That's right.
So, yeah.
That's so exciting.
It is, yeah. And eventually I'll throw them in the kitchen or, have them wait on somebody,
Yeah. I just interviewed Sonny from Domu.
Okay.
And he was talking about how he grew up in restaurants as a kid. It's a rare thing. There are not many careers that are like that, where you can just like have them
That's
around and exposed to the environment. I think that's such a magical thing. Very excited for you guys.
Sure, thank you. We are excited as well.
Yeah. So are you working on menu stuff right now? I know you're doing farm tours and making those connections and things like that.
I've worked on a little bit of recipe development. I've kind of got like ideas of certain techniques and things that I want to do, and then I just have to like kind of plug in which vegetables are in season at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I've got like a menu format that I want to start with for sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Your culinary knowledge and experience being at 3 of the best restaurants in Central Florida just are really well known for the quality of service and food and creativity. And actually, we're going to Luke's on Sunday for a birthday
nice.
Brunch. So
Say hi to Ricky for me. Oh, your birthday brunch? Go say hi to Irish then.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, super talented guys, for sure.
Nice. Yeah. And we love going there. It's just such a great experience. And the architecture of the building, just being in there in that space, it's pretty transformative and magical. So
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I actually ate there on Saturday. I love eating there.
Yeah, I bet, after like working there for so long and just like being a customer now.
I feel like I've been to Prato a lot of times, but like I've eaten at Luke's like maybe a handful of times since those 7 years have been. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was really nice. I ate with me and my wife, and everything was great.
Were there any like revelations like going there as a customer that you didn't see from the other end of the spectrum? Was there like anything that kind of popped out that like, oh wow, this is like part of the experience?
I would say this, like the servers, the waitress staff, that sort of thing. Yeah, you really see that side more when you're over there, and it's like really essential to having a good time is having that person that knows the food well, knows the drink menu well, and can just bring that good time to you. I think it's really important, like that hospitality. And I think that's like a major thing that I'm going to be going for with Coro, is just like a slightly different feel of the hospitality. Like I don't want to give everything away. I kind of want it to be a little bit of a surprise when it comes about, but it's not going to be your normal average waiter waitress kind of deal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait to check it out. It's like there's all these new things in Audubon Park, and it's just such a great time to be here, you know.
It is. And they're doing the whole revitalization of Corinne, right?
Yes, eventually. Yeah, it's in the works. It's in the planning stages right now. Securing funding is always a thing. Permissions for the road was like the big kind of hold up in the process. Like it would have been done many years ago had that not been an issue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
many years ago.
The county and the city owned different pieces of Corinne Drive.
Gotcha.
And it's not a big road, but it's such a crucial kind of throughput to Baldwin Park, Winter Park, and Orlando.
Yes.
And people use it kind of to cut through from Mills to Colonial. And so being that it's like basically 5 lanes with that middle lane, people speed through here. So that's always been, like, safety has been an issue. So with the bike lane that's in now, that's a brand new thing, and it's as a trial period for 6 months to see how that goes. I mean, likely when they redevelop Corinne Drive, there will be multi-use lanes to have a pathway for pedestrians and cyclists and anybody who doesn't want to be in a car and feel safe about it too.
Very nice, yeah.
Yeah. It's important. So yeah, lots of changes, lots of attention to the area. This is such a great neighborhood in general, you know.
It is. Yeah, I've got friends that live like right over here as well. So,
nice. Yeah. I'm sure you've got lots of people here that you didn't realize were even in Audubon Park too.
Very
like
much
that's
so.
kind of the thing.
Yeah.
This is where a lot of people want to be. So we're so stoked to have you join the family of businesses here that really make this place special too.
For sure, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the staffing process and kind of what your expectations, you kind of alluded to that a little bit. What, you have a team put together already?
I do, yeah. And I'm like, that's probably one of the most exciting things about this whole process has been like just finding the right people at the exact right time. It's been like almost like it was meant to be, just like people coming out and just either asking me if I need help, like literally at the end of last month.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been really great. And this is not just like an average group of cooks. These are like all chef guys and women. So
They're at that level.
Yeah, they are at that level. Like,
Wow.
I feel like I could probably give it to them to run at some point, like any of them. They're like that level good.
I mean, that's the
Like,
dream, right?
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
some are really good at butchery, some are really good at pasta, some are really good with administration, some are really good with more of an Asian flair. And it's just like, I have this great team that, like, I feel I'm so blessed to even be able to enjoy this with, to be creative with. And we just, like, we met up the other day at a big facility. They had a commercial kitchen, and we just kind of, I was going through like expectations and just the way service goes, and they were all just like super excited about it and just like throwing out ideas. Like, immediately we just like had a connection of just creativity and sustainability and like what we can get and use and just lack of waste.
Wow.
So it's like we're already on like the same wavelength. So
Yeah.
It's like I've never, not to that extent, worked with people that are like cream of the crop.
Is this
I'm very excited.
Are most of these people people that you've worked with before at other
Yes.
restaurants? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
Most of them are people that I've worked with. There's a couple people that are newer, but like just getting coffee, getting to know them, me kind of like throwing out my vision of what I want the restaurant to be. People are very quick to like jump on board with that. They're like, okay, that's cool. Not everybody else is doing that. Like, I want to do that. It's like a way that we can grow.
That's so exciting to have that start. And, people often talk about staffing and how difficult a time this is after the pandemic and just how that's kind of changed mindsets and things like that and living wages and just all of these, like, how do you make that math equation work? Because the input costs, and then, it's like balancing all the things and making sure everybody's happy. And
Very much so, yeah.
it's like, it's an ever evolving landscape, it seems, right now with restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
But to start at that level of just being on the same page with the staff, with having that shorthand and having the same vision, and like being able to build that team that like you already can see this is
like
going
a
to be a
dream
high
team.
performing
Yeah.
team. Wild. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So tell me about some of the other farms that you visited or that you plan on visiting. I saw that Frog Song was one of the stops, right?
Yeah, Frog Song was my first stop. I've known John from Frog Song for years, since like he started it. I feel like he was just bringing in produce. He would always come at like 7:00 at night, and we were like, "Go away, farmer!" But yeah, throughout the years, he's
It's the
just
only
brought
time
us
he can
really,
steal away, probably, right?
Yeah, really nice stuff. And I love what he's doing over there. He's not trying to grow what everybody necessarily wants. So like, I feel like that's my job as a chef, to make those things that he's able to grow and grow well,
Yeah.
make that the star of the plate.
Yeah. And to have enough demand to where it makes sense to grow those things too, right?
Absolutely.
It's like,
And
yeah.
that's just my job as a chef also, is to educate people on what's good. Like, I've been doing this a long time, and I know how to, and my team knows how to make food good.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't think that you've had it at home really good,
Yeah.
like throughout my career, I've learned a good amount of technique to make things delicious.
Yeah, those are really the elements, right? It's that you start with the best ingredients that you can find.
Yeah, it's very Italian mentality, or even Japanese, which I love as well.
Pull from all of those cultures that contribute to that mindset, and this is like so it's not one nationality of food. How do you describe a restaurant that is that?
I mean, if I were to describe it, it's new American small plates.
Mm-hmm.
Would be the best way to like strip it down to bare bones.
Sure.
But I mean, there's going to be a focus on the local farm, so I'm going to utilize as much of that as possible. It's going to be as sustainable as I can be within that small space. Just doing different fermented things, different pickles, different dusts, powders, that sort of thing. Like, trying not to throw anything away. Like, make something delicious out of nothing. Like, it's smart from a business standpoint. It's smart because it's kind of cool. And just like, nobody wants to waste anything. Like, especially as a chef, like, I don't like wasting.
Yeah. From a cost standpoint and from a respecting the foods.
Respecting the ingredients,
Yeah, totally.
And it's definitely not the easiest thing in the world because you have to find space for those things. You have to find space on your menu to put those things.
Yeah.
But I think it's the right way, and I think if you do it the right way, it's the smart way of doing business. And I think that a lot of restaurants should jump on board that sort of mentality so that we're not wasting.
Yeah, I mean, it takes that creativity. That's the other element too, and the knowledge. Like, you've got the techniques, you've got the skills and the recipes, and you know what works together. And so you're building from that, and you're plugging things in, as you were saying. It's like, so you've got the templates, you've got kind of the ideas, and then you can experiment from there and kind of grow it.
Yeah, very much.
So as I was corresponding with you, I thought about the name Coro, and was very curious. Does it have anything to do with Corinne Drive?
No, I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you. No, Coro means chorus in Italian.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a friend who is like a wordsmith, feeler type person that basically does this for a living, like comes up with names for businesses, and we would just have like hours long conversation. He would just bring out all of everything within me, and he came out with 3 or 4 names that I was like super excited about, and we just landed on Coro being the one that we went with. It's
very musical, obviously, with an interest in music, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's more about like the harmony of the space that we're creating. So it brings in the musical elements, the design elements, the different ingredients on a plate, the colors that are on a plate, and my staff, which is full of hospitality, and it is almost like a song unto itself, like a chorus.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that. Because it is. I mean, it's like, I equate it to like a band, because every instrument is so
Very
important.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it doesn't work without it.
The personalities behind the instruments too. It's like you can have a very dysfunctional band, and it's gonna come through in the music usually, right? It's like there's something that's, I don't know, when you have everybody in sync and you see a show and like everybody's on the same page and having a great time, and the same way in a restaurant.
Yes.
It's like that's the goal. That's what you go for.
That sense of harmony, that everything is working together for this good of people having a great experience.
Yeah, because it depends on the customers too, because it can totally affect your night if somebody's in there and it's not that harmony. You have to find the ways to like make it all work, even when things are maybe like a little off.
Exactly. And things always go a little off in a restaurant. Nothing is perfect. No one is perfect. Yeah. And it's like you have to think about all of those things that could possibly happen, your pitfalls, and then come up with a way to make those people want to come back. And I think that was like one of the most important things as I was going through my business plan of like how this is all going to work. Because like I said, the service is just a little bit different than, just having waiters and waitresses. Yeah,
I think that the food scene, the restaurant scene in Central Florida has really evolved in the past 5-10 years.
Very much so.
Such a profound way. And so people are used to the elevated style of cuisine and of service, and those are the places that really stick around, Yeah. I mean, one of our favorite restaurants in town is the Strand.
Yeah, they're doing very well.
Oh, it's so wonderful, and such wonderful people. And
I love the smallness there too.
Yeah.
Like that's that kind of vibe that I'm going for. And it's not like super pretentious either,
It's very approachable.
Yeah, I feel that.
You didn't have restaurants like that in the area 10 years ago. You just wouldn't find it. Yeah. You'd find it in other cities, but like there's just so much talent here now, and so many people doing awesome things. So you have the audience for it. You have the appreciation for it. And then you get to make all of those little details like really pop. I saw on your Instagram that you'll have plates and bowls by Kim Sager of Thrown by Hand.
Yeah, she happened to just reach out to me. Like, I think it's always been my dream to like have my own plateware design, but like I never thought it was possible.
Yeah.
And she reached out and she's like, I really want to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, awesome, I want you to be a part of this. And we just kind of worked together. I kind of gave her ideas. I gave her like a color palette or whatever that we were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I went over there and she spun a few plates and she's shown me like a lot of stuff. And super excited about using her plateware.
Yeah, Kim is amazing. She's been a vendor at the Monday Night Market at Stardust for several years now. She's one of our favorite people. So such a talent. Her stuff is so beautiful. So I can't wait to see that in a restaurant environment too.
Yeah, very much. And I feel like she went a little bit against the grain of what she normally does to like fit my style. Mm-hmm. And I was like, she can do it. She can do anything. She's really talented.
Sometimes
she's funny.
We need that push. She is. She's such a great person, like personality, and just so warm. And what a cool thing to be working with her.
Definitely.
And to actually like push her maybe out of her comfort zone a little bit, because she does like what she does so well.
Very much so.
So I can't wait to see what that looks like too. That's cool. And you have got custom knives that are locally made.
Yeah, so I met Alexander, I think maybe just like a Facebook Market kind of ad, and he was just getting started on making knives, just got his own home forge, and I saw his page had beautiful knives on it, so I just reached out to him. I was like, hey, I know this is like a long shot, and maybe I can't even afford it, but at some point I would love to have knives made, and I think that you could do this very well. So we kind of came up with a design that we thought would work with the other cutlery, and it's just he made a beautiful knife that I was super stoked on. Yeah,
I was checking out his Instagram, so it's Sloat, Sloat Alexander. His stuff is incredible. That's so cool to be able to bring in those local people that are doing awesome stuff, and it's
very much so.
Like find the love, like find what people are doing and what they love, and like bring that in and make it part of what you're doing.
Yeah.
We don't always think of those things when it is like, the first thing obviously is like you have to make this work financially, but like the inputs, it's like you're going to have to buy plates and knives regardless.
Yeah.
And things that last and that are well built and that are beautiful, but to be able to get them like kind of custom made by local people.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
such a
the
gift.
Dream.
Yeah, I didn't
think it was going to be possible at all. To be honest, I thought like maybe a couple years down the road when we were flowing and making money, but it just worked out that these people, I either reached out to them or they reached out to me, and it just it's been a great relationship.
Yeah, it's just like right place, right time, and you've been in the area so long and made all those connections. You have this reputation. People come to you. And to have your own thing after working for other people for so many years, it's like, this is such a big step, like in so many ways.
Yeah.
Like, how has the emotional kind of ride of this been so far? It's like, obviously, mostly excitement, I'm sure.
It's definitely a roller coaster of emotions, just the whole building process, working with the city, working with construction companies, working with all the different principalities, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So it has had its ups and downs, but I'm just really excited to get this thing open and just share with the community what I love.
Totally. Yeah. And I know that people are very excited to see what is in store for that space, because B3 was there for so many years and did such a great job.
And Jen is great. She's actually helped us with all like some of the permitting processes, getting our licenses, like renewing that sort of thing. Yeah, she's been great.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was part of, when I interviewed Gene Willard, he's like, their story reminded me of Jen and Daryl. It's like, this young married couple with starting this restaurant, and, they've just started a family fairly recently. So that the parallels are kind of there. That was like, and so your kids are how old now?
So I have a 6-month, a 2-year-old, and a 4-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm in the thick of it. for sure.
In the thick of it,
Yeah.
indeed. Those are
It's
very
pretty
different
crazy.
stages. Yeah.
And I'm also trying to open a restaurant, so
Yeah.
I've got a lot on my plate.
And
But it's exciting.
you've got the support that you need to make it actually happen too, and that's crucial, right? It's
Very much so, yeah.
You've already kind of seen where you need to have those boundaries as far as the work-life balance and being there for your family. And
I know I'm going to have to put in a lot of hours. I know it's going to be a lot, but we're trying to start it out with all of that in mind by giving us our days off. So I'll be closed on Sunday and Monday, and those will just be my family days.
nice.
If I have to do a half day on Monday just to get ready for Tuesday, that's just what it is. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But as long as I have a solid day on Sunday where I can go to church, be with my family, and do the things that are important to me and my family,
Yeah.
then I feel like that life balance will be there. And they can come in like for family meal, and I will encourage, my staff to bring in their significant others for family meal, because I want this to be more of a family dynamic.
That's so cool.
I mean, kitchens are just like rough places, Like
Yeah.
there's not always the nicest things said and done to you because it's a high stress environment. And I'm trying to like plan ahead to have a space that is safe, Everybody's respected. Everybody's opinion counts. Everybody puts forth their best effort, and we treat people with love and kindness. And it took me a lot of years to figure that out. I don't think that I was the best leader for several years, and just through working with different kind of leadership, I've grown tremendously. Just as far as feeling empathy and putting myself in other people's shoes. It's just like a really good learning experience the past few years, and it's definitely brought me to this point that I'm able to do this and have confidence in doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that mentorship and a positive working environment can change everything, right? Do you remember a time like in your career when it really did kind of click in your mind of this is how I should be doing it, even though a lot of kitchen cultures kind of have this? Was there a time that you can remember that change happened? Or
Yeah, I mean, working with people is not always easy. Sometimes you bump heads with people, whether it be in a creative aspect, in the way, as a leader, you just kind of have to lead everybody in their own way.
Yeah.
So I worked with Derek Perez, who's now at Four Rivers. He started Luke's with me, and I feel like he just kind of like opened that door that you need to manage everybody in their own certain way. It's like some people need to be pushed a little bit. Some people need to be not babied, but you gotta watch your words, watch how you approach things with them.
Yeah.
So it's like constantly just looking around and really getting to know these people. Like it's not just about the food, which is what I thought it was for years. Like put out good food, put out good food, put out good food.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, if no one's happy, like nobody's gonna want to be there.
That's right.
So I feel like that it took me a little bit longer than it should have to figure that out, but yeah, I think obviously I have a long way to go, but
It sounds like you've come a really long way so far, and that's
very much so. Like my leadership was it was hard growing up in this industry, like it was very old school mentality. So like things weren't said nice politely to me,
Yeah.
And I just remember how I felt then, and now I try to be how I felt, like to know that and respond the right way.
It's a very emotional thing, right? You are very connected to your work, and I think that's a common thing. Everybody wants to do really well. Everybody wants to put out, the best dishes possible, and everybody is kind of learning at a different trajectory too. And to make that okay to where like all the food that's going out is going to be exceptional, and people still have the space to learn and those opportunities, and just finding where people's strengths are, like where they're like, okay, you're ready to do this, and I don't have to worry about it, and you feel confident in it. This other part, we need to train a little bit more on that, and just saying that in a way that's okay, to where it's not like, oh, this sucks, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. And not saying it like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And which like
it's hard because I'm in an industry that expects perfection with unperfect people.
Right.
So it's like you have to think about every single scenario where things can go wrong and figure out how to make it work within that, and still the guest being happy with the final experience.
Right.
And me being happy with the final experience. You know?
Right. Right. And just the timing of everything too. You can have a great dish and it goes out and it's cold and you're like, well,
that's not great.
That's not great.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you watched the show The Bear.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It, definitely nightmares of beginning days at Luma. It's pretty crazy.
I bet. Yeah. It. I think for those of us who haven't worked in the industry the way that you have, like, very illuminating of like the personalities, the things that can go wrong, the things that.
I mean, it's ramped up. Like,
of course,
a little bit.
Of course, it has to be
TV for sure.
It has to be.
But there are definitely times like, oof, I remember that.
Yeah, I was looking through your Instagram and Gabby was like, "What are you laughing about?" And I was like, "Oh, this post from, was it 2008? No, it was 2013. First ticket of the day, 6 of everything to go," and it just shows this picture of this like Walgreens receipt or whatever, just like this. I mean, this giant ticket, and I mean that's a catering job, like, and you've got to get all the other food out in the restaurant while this is also going on. Tell me about that day. Do you remember that specific time? Was that is that something that like happened frequently?
Yes.
Oh boy.
President. I don't know if he's still the president, but of Full Sail, I think.
Okay,
he just
I've met
loved.
him.
Yeah, he loved Prato so much, and he would do that every once in a while. It's like, Gary Jones is here. He's he wants all of this food for his party that he's hosting. We would just push it out. I mean, it's from a business standpoint, smart. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and
he would always do it in the beginning of the day, so it was never like a huge deal. Yeah, but yeah, I remember. Because you're still like, if it's like a Friday night, you're still trying to get all your guys ready to go for, a 300, 400 plus cover night. Yeah. And then this is like right at the get-go. It's pretty intense. It sets the mood for the rest of the night. You're like, all right, let's go fast. That's the balance, going fast, but not sacrificing quality. So it's definitely a balance there, just like anything else.
Yeah, and managing stress, because it's like, okay, the speed needs to increase. We don't you can't cut any corners. Mm-hmm. You have to do everything right. Like, try to minimize the mistakes, know how to recover from mistakes and when it's unrecoverable, and pivoting anytime something gets 86'd or substitutions, things like that. Like, there's so much that goes into this type of work, particularly. There is, yeah. And it takes a certain type of personality who embraces that challenge and really loves it, like thrives in that environment. Yeah. And it sounds like you are surrounding yourself with other people who are like-minded, of that, like, this is how we expect to kind of treat each other. Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to be great, but also, like, we're not going to sacrifice. We're not going to just make it about the food. It's about the people. It's a family environment. The things that we say, the respect, like, and just being open and nice to everybody, and like, that's such a good foundation. And I think that's a rare thing. Maybe it's becoming less rare. I
think people are definitely, jumping on that for sure. Yeah. Because it's important. It's like, you can't lose people. Like, it's not the easiest to get good staff these days that really know how to do things to a high level. Yeah. And if you do, you have to compensate them quite a bit.
Yep, so, absolutely. Yep.
And they're definitely worth it.
Exactly. That's the thing. You can get the great people up front, pay them well, incentivize them staying, make it a great work environment, and you won't have to keep retraining people, right? Yeah, that's sort of the mistake, I think.
Company. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't just have this restaurant in mind. I have like a million different things in my brain that I would love to eventually do, this is just my first one.
Right. That's so exciting. Yeah, it's totally, I mean, Sonny from Domu is a perfect example of that. Yeah. He's got 7 restaurants now. He's very young and he's got 7 restaurants. Yeah. It's like, that's inspiring. That's a great story.
Very much so.
Yeah. And and all began in Audubon Park too, you know? So, well, Tim, thank you so very much for your time. I'm so excited just about everything that is coming. Tell me the websites and the social media that people go to find your restaurant.
What is my Instagram handle? Coro Restaurant?
Yes.
I don't have a website yet. Working on that. It's hard to have a website without pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of restaurants now just mainly focus on Instagram. Some of them on Facebook too, but I think Instagram is really the spot. So Coro Restaurant on Instagram.
Yep.
So follow and like and all of the things.
Yeah. We're working on the website now, trying to get pictures together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to do the Zombie Fest right in front of the restaurant.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. That's awesome.
It was like last minute. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll get a couple cases of oysters. I'll sling some oysters,
Uh-huh.
do a little PR.
Cool.
Hand them out for free. So, yeah. But try to do something a little bit different, not just, what everybody else is doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This will be released after Zombie-toberfest.
Oh, okay.
But you can say, we did Zombie-toberfest and it was amazing. That's very exciting that you're doing that. I was going to ask about that. So, yeah, that's perfect. It's our biggest event in the neighborhood.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So people listening to this in the future when this is released will be able to verify that. So you're like, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, thank you again so much, and we'll see you around the neighborhood.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you.
Hello APGD, a neighborhood podcast, is brought to you in part by Stardust Video and Coffee, Audubon Park's beloved neighborhood cafe, bakery, bar, and meeting place, located at 1842 East Winter Park Road. Our theme song is by Christopher Pierce, and special thanks to Trey Hester for all his help in making this podcast a reality. This episode is brought to you in part by Audubon Park Community Market. Join us every Monday from 5 to 8 p.m., rain or shine, in the parking lot of Stardust Video and Coffee. This weekly gathering of makers, farmers, gardeners, fishmongers, ranchers, artisans, entrepreneurs, neighbors, and friends brings the very best of Central Florida to you every week. We do hope you enjoyed this episode. If so, please click subscribe and leave a review if you'd like. We'll see you next time.